Okay, so let's dive into this. Imagine an aircraft so stealthy, it practically vanishes from radar.
It's incredible.
A technological marvel that's been silently protecting America for decades.
Yeah.
That's the B-2 Spirit stealth bomber. And today, we're taking a deep dive into its secrets.
Awesome.
We've got some really insightful articles from Northrop Grumman, the company that actually built this incredible machine.
Oh.
So it's not just a relic of the past.
No, not at all.
Yeah.
This aircraft is constantly being upgraded and evolved to stay ahead of the game.
Yeah, the B-2 has a serious legacy. It's been the foundation of stealth technology for the U.S. Air Force for 3 decades. It's even commemorated at the Pioneers of Stealth Memorial at the National Museum of the U.S. Air Force, which is a pretty big deal.
Absolutely. The B-2 is still a crucial part of our nation's long-range strike force. And it's one of the most survivable aircraft in the world because it can slip past even the most advanced enemy defenses.
Northrop Grumman has this webpage called 10 Cool Facts About the B-2, and it really highlights just how much of an engineering marvel this thing is.
Oh yeah, and they're not stopping there.
Yeah.
Northrop Grumman, as the prime contractor, is constantly working with the Air Force to modernize the B-2 to combat those ever-changing threats.
Right. It's like a never-ending game of technological chess, always thinking a few moves ahead.
Right.
And speaking of evolution, the B-2 just had a major milestone called Spirit Realm 1, or SR1.
SR1 is a big deal. It focuses on upgrading the B-2's communication and weapon systems.
Wow.
Imagine giving this bomber a brand new brain.
Okay.
And a much harder hitting punch.
Yeah.
All through something called an open mission systems architecture.
So it's not just about being invisible, it's also about being smart and adaptable.
Right.
So what does this open mission systems architecture actually mean?
Think of it like building a house with interchangeable parts. In the past, updating military systems could take forever. With this new approach, they can swap out components and add new capabilities much faster. It's like turning the B-2 into a high-tech Lego set.
So they can respond to new threats and integrate new tech way more efficiently. I get it.
Exactly.
And this SR1 thing also allows for something called agile software releases.
Yeah.
What's the advantage of that over how they used to update the B-2's systems?
In the past, software updates for these kinds of systems could take years. Agile software development is all about making that process much faster and more flexible. It's like going from snail mail to instant messaging.
Okay, so faster updates make sense, but Northrop Grumman is claiming they're doing this with 0 software defects. Isn't that a bit of a stretch?
It's a bold claim for sure, but the software factory development ecosystem they've created seems to be working incredibly well. Jerry McBrody, the director and acting B-2 program manager at Northrop Grumman, is really excited about it.
Okay.
Yeah.
He said that the SR1's agile framework lets the Air Force adapt new capabilities quickly, enabling them to execute the mission today. That really highlights how these aren't just theoretical updates, they have a real impact right now.
Exactly. And it's not just about software either. SR1 also includes new displays, flight hardware, and improvements to the B-2's survivability. It's a complete overhaul.
Okay, so we've got this Spirit Realm software factory, but how did that even come about? It sounds like something out of a sci-fi movie.
It's actually a joint effort. Northrop Grumman teamed up with Air Force Global Strike Command and the B-2 Systems Program Office. What's really amazing is that the B-2 is now the first legacy nuclear platform to use the Department of Defense's DevSecOps processes and digital toolsets.
Okay, I'm gonna need you to break that down for me. DevSecOps, digital toolsets, what do those even mean?
DevSecOps is a way of developing software that focuses on collaboration between developers, security experts, and operations teams. The idea is to build security into every single step of the process and automate as much as possible. The digital toolsets are the software and platforms they use to actually make all of this happen.
So it's like an ultra-efficient, ultra-secure way to create and deploy software that's got to be especially important when you're talking about a bomber that could potentially carry nuclear weapons.
You got it. Colonel Frank Marino, the senior material leader for the B-2 Systems program, said that this software factory approach is opening new doors for the B-2, allowing it to potentially carry future weapons and advanced capabilities. This all strengthens America's ability to deter its adversaries.
Wow, that's a powerful statement. It really highlights the critical role the B-2 still plays in national security.
That concept of strategic deterrence is really important. It's all about preventing conflict by showing strength and making it clear that any aggression would be met with overwhelming force. The B-2, with its stealth capabilities and its ability to carry a heavy payload, is a big part of that strategy.
It's like a silent guardian saying, don't even try it, without actually saying a word.
Yeah.
But how does the spirit realm thing actually work? What's going on behind the scenes?
Imagine a super high-tech assembly line for software. They're using integrated digital tools to design, manage, build, and test the B-2 software in a much more efficient way.
And those digital tool sets you mentioned are the gears that keep the whole operation running smoothly.
Exactly. And there's another cool trick. They can actually link these new tools with older legacy systems.
Oh, okay.
This lets them test and roll out software updates incredibly fast and spot and fix problems early on. It's all about speed and agility.
So it's like they're not just building something new, they're weaving it seamlessly into what's already there, and it sounds like it's actually working. They were able to quickly deploy a software update to their testing facility, verify it, and then load it onto an actual B-2.
That's a huge accomplishment, and it proves that this whole spirit realm concept isn't just talk, it's producing real results.
It's like taking this 30-year-old aircraft and giving it a serious digital makeover.
Right.
And that really highlights the commitment to keeping the B-2 at the forefront of technology.
The B-2 is often seen as a relic of the past, but these ongoing upgrades show that it's anything but outdated. It's constantly evolving to remain a powerful force in the 21st century.
Okay, so we've covered a lot about the B-2's past and present, but I'm curious about the future. With all the advances in technology like hypersonic missiles, is stealth even enough anymore?
That's a good question.
Is the B-2 equipped to handle these super fast threats that are so hard to defend against?
That's a great question. And it's something military planners are grappling with right now. Stealth technology is still incredibly important, but it's no longer a guarantee of survival against these advanced threats.
Right.
Yeah.
So how does a stealth bomber like the B-2, which was designed decades before hypersonic weapons were even a thing, stay relevant in this new era?
That's the billion-dollar question. The B-2 was built with constant evolution in mind. And just as it has been upgraded with new communication systems, weapons, and software, it can also be adapted to counter the threat of hypersonic weapons.
So we might see new stealth technologies, electronic countermeasures, or even hypersonic weapons integrated onto the B-2 itself.
All of those are possibilities. The key is to stay one step ahead of the technology curve and anticipate the threats of tomorrow. I have no doubt that Northrop Grumman and the Air Force are already working on solutions to ensure that the B-2 remains a vital asset for decades to come.
That's reassuring, especially in a world that often feels increasingly uncertain. It's good to know that there are brilliant minds working behind the scenes to keep us safe. But all this talk about advanced technology and future warfare makes me think, what does this mean for the B-2's role in nuclear deterrence? Remember, we were talking about how it's a key part of that nuclear triad designed to prevent nuclear war.
You're right. It's not just about the B-2 operating on its own. It's part of a much larger and incredibly complex system.
So the B-2 isn't just a lone wolf. It's part of a pack, working together to maintain that delicate balance of power.
Exactly. The idea behind the triad, land-based missiles, submarine-based missiles, and strategic bombers like the B-2, is to create layers of redundancy, making it virtually impossible for any enemy to completely wipe out a nation's nuclear capabilities.
So even if one part of the triad is taken out, the others can still retaliate. It's a chilling thought, but it's the reality of the nuclear age.
And the B-2, with its ability to sneak deep into enemy territory and deliver a nuclear payload if necessary, plays a critical role in maintaining that balance.
It's like a safety net, a terrifying but necessary one. But it's important to remember that the B-2 isn't just a nuclear bomber. It can carry a whole range of conventional weapons as well, making it incredibly versatile.
Absolutely. It's not just about having the biggest stick. It's about having the right tool for the job, whether that's a precise strike against a high-value target or a larger-scale conventional bombing mission.
This flexibility is one of the things that makes the B-2 so valuable. And as technology continues to evolve, I bet we'll see even more innovative uses for this remarkable aircraft.
I agree. The B-2 is like a blank canvas for the future of air power.
Okay, so we've talked about hypersonic weapons and nuclear deterrence, but let's shift gears for a moment and talk about another major challenge the B-2 faces: costs.
You're hitting a crucial point. Maintaining and operating these complex aircraft is incredibly expensive. The B-2 is notorious for its high operating costs.
Oh, yeah.
Estimated to be over $130,000 per flight hour.
$130,000 per hour. That's mind-blowing. And with a limited number of these aircraft in the fleet, It's essential to make every single flight count.
Exactly. That's why efficiency is paramount. Programs like Spirit Realm are all about finding ways to streamline operations and cut down on costs.
It's like trying to squeeze every ounce of performance out of every dollar.
Another big challenge is ensuring that the B-2 can work seamlessly with other systems. In modern warfare, different platforms need to be able to communicate and share information without any hiccups.
Yeah, it's like making sure your phone can connect to the latest Wi-Fi network. You might have the most advanced phone in the world, but if it can't communicate, it's not very useful.
That's a perfect analogy.
Yeah.
It highlights the importance of continuous modernization. The B-2 might be an incredible aircraft, but it's only as good as the systems it's connected to.
So what does the future hold for the B-2? We've talked about its past, its current capabilities, and the challenges it faces. Where do we go from here?
That's the big question. And while we can't predict the future with absolute certainty, I think it's safe to say that the B-2 will continue to be a vital part of American air power for many years to come.
And as technology continues to evolve at an exponential pace, I'm sure we'll see even more amazing innovations incorporated into this already impressive aircraft. But before we go any further, let's take a moment to really let all this information sink in.
Good idea. Sometimes it's helpful to just pause and reflect.
We'll be back in a moment to continue our deep dive into the world of the B-2 Spirit stealth bomber.
It's pretty amazing how the B-2 has managed to stay relevant for so long.
I know, right?
We're talking about an aircraft that first took to the skies back in 1989.
Yeah.
That's before the internet as we know it even existed.
It really speaks volumes about the engineers who designed it.
For sure.
They were way ahead of their time.
Yeah.
And they created a platform that's still a force to be reckoned with today.
Absolutely.
And it's not just about the hardware. The continuous software updates and upgrades like that Spirit Realm program we talked about are key to keeping the B-2 ahead of the curve.
Yeah, they built this incredibly strong foundation that can support all these upgrades and evolutions.
Exactly.
And that's what makes the B-2 so fascinating. It's a symbol of American innovation and our constant drive to push the limits of technology.
If we zoom out a bit,
the
B-2's story is really a story of strategic adaptation.
That's a good point.
In a world where threats are constantly evolving, you can't just rely on what worked in the past. You need to be able to anticipate those future challenges and come up with solutions before they even arise.
For sure.
That's exactly what Northrop Grumman and the Air Force are doing with the B-2.
Absolutely.
They're not just reacting to threats, they're actively shaping the future of air power.
Shaping the future, yeah.
The B-2's role in nuclear deterrence is really interesting.
It is.
It's a key part of what's called the nuclear triad, which includes land-based intercontinental ballistic missiles, submarine-launched ballistic missiles, and strategic bombers like the B-2.
Yeah.
Okay, so for those who aren't familiar with the nuclear triad, can you give us a quick rundown of what that is?
Sure. The nuclear triad is essentially a three-pronged approach to nuclear deterrence.
Okay.
The idea is to have nuclear weapons deployed in three different ways.
Gotcha.
On land, at sea, and in the air. This makes it much harder for an enemy to launch a successful first strike, because they would have to take out all three legs of the triad simultaneously.
So it's like having a backup plan for your backup plan.
Yeah, exactly.
Just in case things go really wrong.
Yeah, just in case.
The goal is to make the potential consequences of a nuclear attack so unthinkable that no rational actor would ever consider it.
Right.
It's a sobering thought, but it highlights the crucial role that the B-2 plays in maintaining peace.
Yeah.
It's not just a weapon, it's a deterrent.
It is a deterrent. That's a good point.
And it's a deterrent that's designed to be incredibly resilient.
Yes.
The B-2's stealth capabilities and its ability to penetrate deep into enemy territory make it a very credible threat.
Very credible.
It's like having an ace up your sleeve that you hope you'll never have to use.
Right.
And it's important to remember that the B-2 isn't just about nuclear weapons.
No.
It can also carry a wide array of conventional weapons.
It can.
This makes it a very versatile asset for a variety of missions.
A very versatile asset.
So it's not a one-trick pony.
No.
It's got the flexibility to handle different scenarios.
Exactly.
Right. The B-2 can be used for precision strikes against high-value targets or for larger-scale conventional bombing missions.
Yeah.
It all depends on the situation.
All depends on the situation.
And as technology keeps advancing, I imagine we'll see even more innovative ways to use the B-2.
Oh, absolutely. The B-2 is a platform with a lot of potential.
Yeah.
And As new technologies emerge, the B-2 can be adapted to incorporate them.
Speaking of new technologies, I'm curious about your perspective on some of the key trends that are shaping the future of military aviation.
Okay.
What do you see as the biggest game changers?
Well, one of the most significant trends is the growing role of artificial intelligence.
AI.
Yeah, AI is being integrated into everything from flight control systems to targeting algorithms.
That makes a lot of sense. In a battle space that's getting more complex and faster paced,
Right.
AI can help process information
Yeah.
and make decisions much faster than humans can.
Much faster, yeah.
Right.
And it's not just about speed. AI can also improve accuracy and reduce the likelihood of human error.
It's like having a co-pilot that never gets tired or makes mistakes.
Exactly.
Another trend that's generating a lot of buzz is hypersonic weapons.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
These weapons, which travel at speeds greater than Mach 5, are incredibly difficult to defend against.
Incredibly difficult.
So we were talking about hypersonic weapons before and how they pose a challenge to traditional defenses.
Right.
But how do they impact a stealth bomber like the B-2?
That's a great question.
Yeah.
And it's something that military planners are seriously considering. Stealth technology is still vital,
Yeah.
but it doesn't guarantee survival against hypersonic weapons. They're just so fast and maneuverable
Yeah.
that they can overwhelm traditional defenses.
So is the B-2 destined to become obsolete in the face of these new threats?
Not necessarily.
Yeah.
Remember, the B-2 is designed for continuous evolution.
Right.
Just like it's been upgraded with new communication systems, weapons, and software, it can also be adapted to counter the threat of hypersonic weapons.
That's encouraging to hear.
Yeah.
So what kind of adaptations are we talking about?
Well, there are several possibilities.
Okay.
They could develop new stealth technologies to make the B-2 even harder to detect.
Okay.
They could equip it with electronic countermeasures to disrupt enemy sensors. Or they could even integrate hypersonic weapons onto the B-2 itself. Wow. Giving it the ability to strike back at these new threats.
So it's a constant game of cat and mouse as technology evolves.
Exactly. And the key is to stay ahead of the curve.
Yeah.
To anticipate what's coming next and develop solutions before those threats become a reality.
It's like trying to predict the future of warfare.
In a way, it is. But thankfully, we have brilliant minds at Northrop Grumman and the Air Force working tirelessly to ensure that the B-2 remains a valuable asset.
That gives me a sense of optimism. We've been talking about all these advanced technologies and the challenges of future warfare. But it's important to remember that the B-2 is ultimately a tool for peace.
Absolutely.
It's part of a system designed to prevent conflict, not start it.
Right. Prevent conflict.
I love that perspective.
Yeah.
It's a reminder that even in the face of incredibly complex and challenging situations, there's always room for optimism.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And it's a reminder that human ingenuity can be used for good as well as for defense.
Well said. And on that note, I think it's time to shift our focus to another important aspect of the B-2, the human element.
Okay.
We've talked a lot about technology and strategy, but what about the people who actually fly and maintain this aircraft?
That's a great point. We often focus on the hardware and software,
Yeah,
but the human element is just as important, if not more so.
absolutely.
Yep.
The B-2 might be a technological marvel,
Yeah.
but it's still a machine. It takes skilled and dedicated people to keep it flying
Right.
and to make sure it's used effectively.
For sure. The pilots who fly the B-2 are some of the most highly trained aviators in the world. They have to be incredibly skilled and knowledgeable to operate this complex aircraft.
And what about the maintenance crews, the people who work behind the scenes to keep the B-2 in tip-top shape?
Oh, they play an absolutely crucial role.
Yeah.
The B-2 is a highly sophisticated aircraft with a lot of moving parts.
Right.
It takes a team of experts to maintain it and ensure its reliability.
It's a true testament to the men and women of the Air Force
Absolutely.
who dedicate their lives to keeping this aircraft operational.
They're the unsung heroes of the B-2 program.
We've talked about the B-2's legacy,
Yeah.
its current capabilities and the challenges it faces. But what do you think the future holds for the people involved in the B-2 program?
That's an interesting question.
Yeah.
As technology continues to evolve,
Right.
the roles of pilots, maintainers, and engineers may change.
Yeah.
But I think the core values of skill, dedication, and teamwork will always be essential.
I agree. It's those human qualities that make the B-2 program so successful. And it's those qualities that will ensure the B-2 remains a vital asset for years to come.
Absolutely.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground in this deep dive.
We have.
We've gone from the B-2's historical origins to its cutting-edge technology and its critical role in national security.
We've gone deep.
But I want to leave our listener with a final thought to ponder.
Okay.
We've talked a lot about the B-2's stealth capabilities
Yeah.
and its role in nuclear deterrence.
Uh-huh.
But what happens when stealth technology is no longer enough?
Whoa.
What happens when our adversaries develop countermeasures that can make even the most advanced aircraft visible?
That's a thought-provoking question.
Yeah.
It really forces us to think about the future of warfare and the balance of power in a world where technology is constantly evolving.
And it's a question that I'll be thinking about long after this deep dive is over. I encourage our listener to do the same.
Yeah, it's a challenge that goes way beyond just the B-2.
Yeah.
It really makes us rethink the whole idea of air power in this century.
It's like we're entering a whole new era of warfare where the old rules just don't apply anymore.
Exactly. And that's where innovation becomes even more critical. We can't afford to just sit back and assume that what worked before will keep working. We have to constantly push the boundaries of technology and explore new ideas.
Yeah. It's a constant game of technological leapfrog. One side comes up with something new, the other side figures out how to counter it, and the cycle goes on and on.
And that cycle is only getting faster. That's why initiatives like the Spirit Realm Software Factory are so important. They allow us to develop and deploy new technologies much quicker, so we can adapt to evolving threats almost in real time.
So it's like we have to shift our mindset from building things to last to building things that can constantly evolve.
That's a great way to put it. Military platforms used to be designed to be incredibly durable and last for decades.
Yeah.
But in today's world, technology changes so fast that we have to be able to upgrade our systems much more frequently.
So it's not just about building a better bomber, it's about building a bomber that can become a better bomber.
Exactly, and that requires a fundamental shift in thinking, both in how we design these systems and how we approach things like procurement and maintenance.
It's a whole new way of thinking about military technology. And it's fascinating that the B-2, a platform that's over 30 years old, is right at the forefront of this transformation.
It really is a testament to the vision of the original designers and the commitment of the Air Force and Northrop Grumman to keep this aircraft relevant and effective.
You know, it gives me hope that even with all these increasingly complex challenges, we still have the ingenuity and the determination to find solutions.
Absolutely. The B-2's story is a story of resilience, adaptation, and a relentless pursuit of excellence. Those are qualities that will serve us well as we navigate the uncertainties of the 21st century.
Well said. So, as we wrap up our deep dive into the B-2 Spirit stealth bomber, what's the one key takeaway you want to leave our listener with?
I think the most important thing to remember is that the B-2 is not just a piece of hardware. It's a symbol of human ingenuity and a testament to our ability to innovate and adapt in the face of ever-changing challenges.
I couldn't agree more. It's been a fascinating journey exploring the past, present, and potential future of this remarkable aircraft.
I hope our listener has gained a new appreciation for the complexity and the importance of this aircraft and the role it plays in safeguarding our nation.
I know, I certainly have. So to our listener, thank you for joining us on this deep dive into the world of the B-2 Spirit stealth bomber. Until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep looking up.